I'm Sherry Sturman, Director of Cradle Education. We're excited to share this new series, Creative Spa for Teachers, with everyone who educates kids. So this is a special time and a place where you can rejuvenate, refresh, and rekindle your creative spirit. Educators and parents are so busy taking care of others that it's important for us to find that time to pause and to celebrate ourselves and bring the creative experiences forward that really energize each of us. I'm thrilled to introduce today's guest, Joy Rush, who's a yoga instructor with a playful twist. Joy, we're delighted to have you join us. Tell us why you emphasize play-based yoga as your approach, and how did you get started in this field? What built your love of yoga as a mindfulness and body restorative practice?
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here. So I started in yoga with my own personal adult practice, being a mom and having a career and all the things. I needed an outlet for myself. I wanted to teach yoga, so I had a strong interest in teaching, but I was a little scared or afraid of teaching adults. So I actually saw a kids yoga training and I was like, wow, this could be a really good fit for me. So I took the yoga training and I put my own play-based twist on it. And it is a perfect fit to take to the classroom. I emphasize play-based yoga specifically because it helps kids make that connection. It really meets them exactly where they are in their growth, and it really helps them connect that yoga can help me to focus, yoga can help me to self-regulate, and maybe they don't know all those big words, but it really just helps them to make the connection of how yoga affects and helps the body and the mind.
So if I understand correctly, most of your work is with children, in person or remotely, and then you just recently started reaching out to using these same practices with teachers and parents. What inspired you to reach beyond the kids who are in your yoga classes and communicate with their parents and teachers?
I have been asked over and over again, how can I use yoga in my home? How can I get my kids interested in yoga? Because I love yoga. I have had all of these questions over the years, and I just decided to really implement a program specifically for educators, caretakers, parents, and pretty much anyone that wants to connect yoga with kids in their lives.
Help us understand the difference between playful yoga and, say, maybe a more formal yoga. Because a lot of the teachers and parents who are with us today, they're going to be interested in these calming effects and the physical benefits of yoga, but they might be worrying about, how do I hold those formal poses and how do I do this correctly? But your approach is so much more playful and forgiving. So how do you help non-yoga experts introduce this and relax and enjoy this experience together?
The number one rule, or my only rule really, in Yoga Joy play-based yoga program is to have fun with it. That's really what it's all about when you're working with children, because we focus on ages about 2 to 12. So at that point, your body is still very flexible. It can move so much more easy, and your muscles and your bones and all those things are still growing. So we are able to do so much more and have so much more fun. Now, of course, when you get 13 and above, or I would say about a teenager age and above, you want to really start practicing more of the formalized yoga program, because you want to make sure that your poses are proper for your body. But the good thing about the age frame that we work with is that we can have loads of fun and get the process started of understanding how the body and the mind work together. So if they decide to take on an adult yoga practice or a formal yoga practice, they'll have all the tools that they need.
What a wonderful rule. Just have fun. Can't think of anything better than that. So you're really emphasizing how yoga helps us be in tune with the way the body and the mind interact together. And I think it'd be great for our viewers to experience some of those, to see how yoga can bring physical and emotional balance. So you've been talking about tree pose and an emotion wheel. Explain those.
So the emotion wheels are all those feelings, right? All the way from those big, huge feelings of anger or sad or mad. And then there's your happy place, right? And then there's those places where you feel good. And, there's a whole wheel of emotions. But what we try to do in the kids' yoga practice or the play-based yoga practice is we do identify those emotions. Maybe you have what I like to call silly brain, especially in the classroom. Our kids and sometimes ourselves have a little bit of silly brain. So for instance, tree pose, like you mentioned, is a really, really good pose to help students, kids in general, understand how the mind and body connects. So a playful way that I introduce poses, and I'll start with tree pose just to show you how that mind and body interacts. This is a pose that I practice focus with. So if you want to help your kids to understand how to bring in their focus, tree pose is a really, really good pose. Super, super simple. And you can even play with it. Like for moms and dads, you can literally say, look at my nose. And then you put your leg right up to your calf muscle and hold it. Can you hold it for 3 seconds? And then once they can hold it for 3 seconds, then maybe 5 seconds or maybe 10 seconds or more. But we start with focusing on my nose, or maybe it's a poster on the wall, or maybe it's a star, whatever it is, making those connections that your body and your mind can focus together.
I love this idea of the tree and the balance, and then tying that into the emotions. So tell us a bit more about these layers of emotions, that something you might think is anger is really frustration or embarrassment or even fear. How can you help kids identify emotions, and then why is that so important in this playful yoga?
Identifying emotions is really super, super important because, of course, anger and sadness can sometimes look alike. But once you really have those discussions about how are you feeling and asking those real questions, but the questions that really connect with your little one, depending on their age. Some of our big kids may be able to verbalize a little bit more, but we also have something that I love to use to manage those feelings. And I call it my finger play. So we do a piece begins with me, and that is super, super relaxing and also fun at the same time. I'll be honest, even some of my teachers do this in their classrooms. So I tell them to put up their hands or show me their twinkle fingers, depending on the age. And basically what we do is really, really simple. We put our thumb to our finger number 1 for my little kids, or index fingers for my big kids, of course. Thumb to your middle finger, thumb to your ring finger, and then thumb to your pinky. So it goes, peace begins with me. Peace begins with me. And sometimes to kind of calm them even more, you can ask them questions like, can you whisper it? Can you say it so low that we can barely hear you? You can make it fun, but you can make it slower. You can make it faster. You can do all type of variations, but that definitely helps with that self-regulation piece of those, big emotions like we talked about. That is a super, super easy and fun way to implement a meditation.
How do you explain big words like meditation and self-regulation to little kids?
I like to explain it as they're like the boss of their feelings, right? So they are able to manage those feelings of anger, those feelings of that crying, and all of those things that we go through, which is okay to have. That's another big rule too. It's okay to have those feelings, but we also have to learn how to manage those feelings, how to be the boss of that anger. How can we be the boss of that sadness? How can we express ourselves in a better way? Identifying what it is. I'm not feeling happy. I feel mad, whatever it is, identifying that and taking control and being the boss over it is really an easy way for them to understand the self-regulation piece. And meditation, I explain it as in a moment of silence. And not necessarily total silence, right? It doesn't always have to be total silence. It can be being creative with your thoughts. It can even be just like the starter meditation that we did with our finger play. It can be something as simple as affirmations, saying those things over and over to yourself, making yourself feel confident or feel happy or whatever it is that you're trying to get to. If you're trying to get out of this sad or mad feeling, how you can turn it around and make it go the other side of the wheel.
And your kids tie in breathing too, so maybe it's being quiet enough to hear yourself breathe.
Well, this is my breathing ball, and the kids all love the breathing ball. So no one has to do this, but this is what I use in the classrooms. And so all you do is open it up, and when you open it, everyone breathes in. And when it's closed, you breathe out. And sometimes I play a little game with them, just like I do with tree pose. Can you hold that breath for 3 seconds? 3, 2, 1. There you go. So we do all types of things. And if you don't have a ball, the easiest way to do it is just act like you have a balloon right in your hand. And you open it and close it. Open it and close it. So we do all type of fun things. Sometimes we act like the balloon is dropping all the way down to our fingers. We hold on to the string and let it float in the air as we continue to breathe. We even play a little bit with, can you feel your heartbeat? Is it going fast? Is it going slow? So there's all type of ways you can introduce breathing to any child of almost any age.
Really practical ways to talk about meditation. And must be so much fun to be breathing with a balloon in front of you. That's great. Unimaginable. Joy, you've also told us about using Magic Place as a tool to help kids or adults imagine the sounds and the smells and the touch and the textures and of course the look of their very special place. Can you guide us through an example of going to a magical place?
I actually have an example that I did with my son this weekend. So this is what I would call like my magical, and I'll take it off here where you can see it better. It can be your magical place and sometimes my magical universe. So this, if you guys can see it, is my magical universe. And for this specific picture, I actually use the beach because it's my favorite place. But the fun thing about creating this special place is to, number one, using your imagination and also to calm your senses and awaken them at the same time. So you're calming all the possible anxiety in your body, but you're awakening those other senses. The hearing, can you hear the crash of the waves in the ocean? Can you feel the sand on your toes? Can you feel the wind against your skin as you're laying on the beach? Can you feel the sun against your forehead? All of those senses, awaken those senses, but calming any possible anxiety in the body. And I know we talked about going back to school because I know all the kids are getting ready to go back to school. So you probably left the beach and had so much fun. And I'm so glad that it's almost time to go back to school. But guess what? There's all type of butterflies that comes with going back to school. So I encourage to think about all of the fun that they're going to have when they get there. Of course, they're going to meet new people. Maybe they're going to a new grade, or maybe they're matriculating to a new school, like middle school or high school or something. Go ahead and imagine that first day of school. Think about you walking through the door, greeting your teachers, seeing your friends that you probably haven't seen in over a year now because of the pandemic, and getting rid of some of those nerves, taking a deep breath in and releasing all of that anxiety, because we're going to have it. And guess what? We as parents and teachers have it too. So going ahead and acknowledging those feelings and creating that special place so that when you have that moment in the classroom where you have those butterflies, learning how to release it.
Wow, that magical place exercise is great to have in our back to school backpack. the power of the imagination to smell and sense and hear what we anticipate. It's a great way to conquer our fears. How about sharing some other poses that parents and teachers can weave into a classroom or a get ready for a new school year routine?
I recommend a head, shoulders yoga pose, which is super fun because they all know the song head, shoulders, knees, and toes. So I encourage you to play the song if you want to, the head, shoulders, knees, and toes, but put a little bit of a twist on it. What you want to do is tell them a few poses, and I would probably recommend standing poses. Standing poses are probably going to be the best idea when it comes to doing yoga in the classroom, right? So what I would suggest doing is a tree pose, which of course, I would suggest putting your leg right above your, like right at your calf muscle. Or if you want to give them a challenge, put it on the thigh. But I like to stay kind of low. So I put my leg right there, tree pose. And they can have fun with tree pose. They can be a big tree, they can be a tree waving in the wind, whatever it is that they want to do. And then another easy, super simple pose to add into the classroom is star pose. You stretch out the legs and open up your arms and be a beautiful, magical star. Super, super simple pose. And if you want to add more fun to the classroom, then I suggest plain pose, which in more formal yoga is a warrior pose, but it's warrior number 3, I think, in our formal. So I stick my hands out and we're gonna fly like an airplane and kick a leg up. So it kind of looks like this from the side. And all you do is sing the song, head, shoulders, yoga pose, and do it on the other side. Everything we do on one side, we always do on the other. So we do it again, head, shoulders, yoga pose, and then we breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, and breathe out, and do it again. Head, shoulders, yoga pose. And then we do the second pose. Head, shoulders, yoga pose, head, shoulders, yoga pose, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, and breathe out, head, shoulders, yoga pose. So it's super simple, super easy. My singing isn't the best, but it's something that's super, super fun. When the class sings it together, it's like absolutely magical.
Oh, that was beautiful, Joyce. So can you give us another example of where playful yoga blends some singing and like a dance or a game?
I have a fun yoga shakedown. So basically what you want to do is you literally have fun. For my little kids, I want to see my twinkle fingers, and we just shake, and we can make little sun rays and all these type of things, and we dance, and we can turn around, and we can do all those fun things. And then when you stop, you go into a pose. So here we go, we shake and pose and shake and pose and shake and pose and shake and pose. Let's do one more. Let's see, we'll do our plain pose. Let's see if we can get into that one. We'll shake and pose. Can you hold it? And shake and pose.
Let's now link all of that mental visualization, all of the feelings we've been talking about, and these great mind-body balance poses into a visual experience. Great if you could help our viewers think about ways to sketch how they're feeling, to visualize going into school for a new year. Think about their inner strength. Maybe they draw a star as they just form one with their body. Anything that you can suggest to help them visualize through art what they're thinking.
I love using art as a form of meditation. So I'm going to take my pencils And on my drawing, I am going to write a couple of words. Let's see here. And this can be used as like an affirmation kind of activity. So not only are you able to create the special place, but also putting it into action. Whatever that you feel that you want to be better, or maybe something you have to just remind yourself about, you can write it down. So I'm going to write just a few words here on my sheet. And here we go. So I wrote, I am strong, I am creative, I am joyful. It's so fun to be able to really create something that you can imagine or that you can feel. You can use those moments of mindfulness, if you would. And mindfulness is a super, super big part of yoga. Mindfulness can be used as you're walking outside and you just close your eyes for a moment. Think about how you feel as you're walking. Even when you're sitting at your desk, thinking about how it feels to be back in the classroom, how excited the kids are going to be for you to be their new teacher, and all those emotions that's going to happen throughout the year. But giving them a chance to use that imagination outside of their regular norm is so super, super important.
I love that you shared that, and it's going to inspire our viewers to create their own magic play scenes and to write their affirmation words on it. So for our viewers, when you finish your sketch, take a photo and post it to the comment section of this video. We'd love to see what you create. And while the young artists are finishing up their artwork, I'd like to remind the parents and teachers that you can be updated on all future sessions of the Creative Spa by signing up for our Creative Learning e-newsletter in your email, arriving every month. Joy, this has been a really fun way to play with yoga and to gain a stronger sense of balance between the physical and then those mindful inner selves, and to confront our emotions. What closing remarks or last bit of advice would you like to share with our viewers so they can keep these restorative, reflective practices going?
Have fun. And if you're in the classroom, this goes for my teachers and my students, it is totally okay to just breathe. Take a moment before you get into those big feelings on our emotional wheel and just take a moment to breathe.
Any suggestions for how to make this playful yoga a routine so it isn't, a sort of a random treat, but maybe more of a daily practice?
Have a mindfulness moment every day, whether it's 5 minutes or even 10 minutes of your day. Start the day or end the day with it. Or if you feel that the students are starting to get ants in their pants, take a moment and allow them to express themselves. Because guess what? If they're able to let it out and be silly for a second, the ability to focus and to refocus on what they need to is definitely more likely.
So we want to thank Joy Rush for joining us today and inspiring us with so many practical ideas. To keep in touch with Joy and to learn more about her work, visit her website. And we want to thank all of our viewers for joining us today. Stay well, stay strong, and take care of yourself creatively.
Keep moving, keep having fun, and don't forget, peace begins with us. Have a good day, guys.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.